A kid you may not have heard of, Kane, called Jack Ginnivan, who caused you to trend during the game on social because he was the source of your angst in his round one antics. He's clearly listened. He's gone and got his hair bleached. He's kicking the ball in the pre-game and had a bit of fun. He was so engaging today and he kicked 5 goals. He's a real deal as a player and he made you eat some humble pie today.
Yeah, he was amazing. Like, on the big stage to do that and kick 5 and handle that pressure in game number 10, I was really impressed by his performance and his ability to finish. And he's got a bit of zest and a bit of character about him, and clearly he's got the confidence there, and you hear his teammates speak about him and they say just that. So,
did you go too early on him?
No, I don't think so. I think if I had my time again, it would have been more criticism of the club for putting him in that position, but clearly it hasn't affected him. The only thing I'll say is that he needs to keep working at his game, and I hope that he doesn't let this sort of get ahead of himself, because it's a tough, lonely position to play, and you'll kick 5 some weeks, Lordo, and you won't touch the footy for another couple. So I hope he uses this as momentum to springboard his career, not be comfortable with what he's achieved so far and keep working hard, because it's a really tough spot to play.
The last debate we had though, Kane, you said you felt that why are they putting a kid in this position to be the antagoniser, the energy player? And I said, well, that just might be him. That's how he wants to play, and that might be what brings the best out of Jack Ginnivan.
Yeah,
so would you take back that even the club putting him forward, they might say, it doesn't faze this kid. Doesn't bother him. Well,
clearly that may be him, and I didn't know his character. I thought that hurt him on that night against Geelong when they came back and lost the game, and I thought they used that as motivation. So I didn't see the antagonistic stuff today. I more saw a player perform big on the big stage.
His box office. The Bombers were better. Caro, we'll deal with them in a bit more detail. A pre-game interview with Josh Marnie, the head of football, caught your ear.
Look, it did. I just feel that. And they were a lot better today, and I want to ask you about the Bombers, Matthew, but I've just felt all year, from the start of the season, there's been this sort of expectation to lower expectations and almost excuses, and this is their head of footy on 3AW before the game.
Maybe in some ways that we did overachieve last year. We got into the finals on 11 wins, which probably hasn't happened for 15 years. It was a funny sort of a season. And we just know that we're on a path to be good. We want to be good. We know it's going to take a while. We're still a developing team. We spoke about that a lot last year. We still speak about that this year. We're probably younger this year, but it certainly doesn't mean it's an excuse for us.
We know that a lot happened last week after they were stung in their previous game, and you were very critical of Essendon. There was a big truth session led by the coach. But a lot of senior commentators who went to Essendon, who spoke to Essendon pre-season and early in the season, kept hearing this. We're young, we're developing, we overachieved last year. Is that a cop-out?
I think it is, because Essendon haven't won a final for that long, that you continue to get draft picks, and when is the right time? When is the right time? And I think that they've had long enough to now be challenging. And last year, Caro, we debated this and you scoffed at what I would say that the worst thing that could potentially happen was them playing a final, because they would think that the next year it just happens. I believed at the time that they...
You were strong on that. We couldn't get to the break and you were arguing so heavily with Caro about this.
There's an acknowledgement now that there was a bit of an expectation over summer from the players, but how does that happen? How does that happen with a team as big and as powerful as Essendon?
To make his point, because of finals.
Yeah, I think you recruit in a certain way, you think in a final way. 8th versus 9th is so different. 8th, you make it and you go, geez, we're going pretty well. 9th, it's scathing, Kane. You're brutal on what you do, and I thought that's probably where they should have been, rather than getting that taste of finals.
You interviewed Andy McGrath on Sports Day last week. Fascinating chat. Let's have a listen.
We've spoken a lot about our discipline as a playing group and just not getting things done that are at an AFL standard. This week we've kind of, I guess, put a full stop on any acceptance on any of that and making that an expectation that if you can't do that, you can't play. We're really determined to make amends.
So whilst they were better, this still is an AFL standard. You cannot transition the ball and let the opposition do that from back 50 to forward 50 this easily. The best teams in the competition do not allow this to happen. So this is the difference in the game. Look at it. This is walk-in goal from Chris. Well, that is as easy a goal from back 50 to forward 50 as you'll find, and it wasn't the only one. Once again, back 50, that kick, Melbourne shut that down. The best teams in the comp shut that down. So if you're Andy McGrath and you're looking at it, you're going, well, we weren't AFL standard last week, Lordo. We certainly weren't AFL standard once again on the big stage in some aspects today, albeit they were better.
What I have liked, though, is that I think Merritt and McGrath, Merritt spoke after the game and said he enjoyed the conversation that was had between myself and McGrath. I think they've had enough. And I think that it's about now not accepting. McGrath even said, I don't want to be called a young side anymore. I'm sick of hearing that we're a young. So I think a few of the senior players, they have to back it up, but I think they've had enough, Hutch.
I thought Draper was terrific today too. There's something in that.
And Darcy Parish backed up after, we singled him out last week, and he was singled out, I think, by the coach, Matthew. Much better effort, amazing effort, really.
Yeah, I was glad, though, he didn't win the medal for the fact that he had 3 inside 50s of his 44 disposals and he had 2 score involvements. So they won the clearances and he was fantastic in there, but I still think that he could be more damaging with his disposal. So it's harsh, but I still think Petrarca or Oliver, they're the benchmark and they hurt you more with their disposal.
Just on the Pies, good signs, kids are good. Craig McRae's a breath of fresh air for the competition. He was all class at the end, the way he spoke to their fan base. They do need to make a decision on how they compensate Jordan De Goey, who was terrific again today, Caro. The President seems to have a pretty strong view. In fact, here's what he had to say before we get your view on... This is Jeff Brown today in the pre-game, the Collingwood President.
For anyone that doubted that he would fit in as a model citizen, they're wrong. He has, and he's a valuable Collingwood player. We're going through, there are a number of players on our list to be re-signed, and Jordan's one of them. And what I'm determined to do is to make sure that Collingwood doesn't get in the position it was, where it had to eject players because of a salary cap crisis. That won't happen again under my watch.
A fair clip for what happened on the past. It was in the past denied for a long time by Collingwood. I'm still not sold on Jordan De Goey as a model citizen. I don't think you can be after 5 or 6 rounds of AFL footy. And look, he's clearly a very talented player, but he's not $1 million player anymore. I think he might have thought he was. Is he a $600,000 player?
I'm so with you on this. I just think it's been this way all year, and I would once again leave it until the latter half of the year. They've already given Moore 6. Grundy's still got 5 left on that massive deal that has really
7.
hurt them.
Given Moore 7.
5
He's
left.
already on 800 though, isn't he? So he's not going. He's got to be less than that.
It's the term, Lordo, and it's how you structure the deal to have significant performance and behavioural clauses in that contract.